Okay, so apparently you guys are going to get 2 videos in one day. I was looking through my videos and noticed that I really didn't have anything on there that stated how we found out we were pregnant. So I figured that I would do a quick, or try to do a really quick short story on how that happened. Last year, back in September, I was at work and had some extreme pain on my right side. So we went into the emergency room because it hurt that bad. I thought my appendix actually was bursting. And they found a 6 millimeter cyst on my ovary. They gave me pain medication and just had me follow up with my OB. I followed up with my OB, and he basically said that let's put you on some birth control because I wasn't on any at that time because we were trying to get pregnant. So he put me on some birth control, gave me some samples that would last for September and October, and he then told me, basically it should start your cycle. You should have less pain. If the pain continues, let me know. Here's some pain medication. Once this is over, you shouldn't need it. Blah blah blah. Okay, so he gave me the samples of birth control. At the end of the 2 months, so at the end of October. Okay, so excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself here. So the birth control worked. It basically started my cycles up. I was having issues with my cycle going, so I'd not have a cycle for a couple months, have one, not have one for a couple months, have one. And so finally they, with this particular birth control, it started up my cycle and everything was normal for September and October. The pain went away on my cyst and I was doing okay. So when I go to not refill, but when I actually put in my prescription for this particular brand of birth control, my insurance doesn't cover it, and it's $90. That's $90 a month I don't have. So of course, like a stupid ass, excuse my language, November I just decide, forget it, I'm just not going to take it. So at the end of November, I figured, I need to get the situation under control. I didn't have my period all of November, and I figured it's because of the birth control. I'm not on it. So all of a sudden, because I'm not on it now, it's not going to let me do it. So we called the doctor's office instead of going in, and they just wrote me a prescription for a different type of birth control. I filled it and I started taking it in December. No cycle. January comes around and someone very close to me decided to help me out and got me a trainer to help me with my body and lose weight and train and do all that stuff, so that way I could get in better shape and hopefully I wouldn't need to have birth control to start my cycle. I'm still taking the birth control, it's still not working, and about 3 weeks into the workout, my trainer, because what happened is my trainer weighed me the very first time that we were there, we noted it down, worked out 3 or 4 days a week, and changed my diet drastically. I was literally eating only proteins and vegetables. I really wasn't allowed to have anything else. If I had fruit, it had to be apples. And I had to be very careful on the fruit that I ate because some fruits are very high in sugar. So she wanted me completely off sugar, completely off carbs, and all that stuff. I was doing great and I felt like I was losing weight. So 3 weeks go by and she says, let's go ahead and weigh you. She weighed me. I lost 1 pound. I was livid. Not only that, but I started having pain on my right side again. So I sat down with my trainer and I talked to her, and she said basically I needed to make another appointment with my OB because she felt as though my birth control may be hindering my weight loss. So I was reluctant to go back in because I hate going to the doctor. So I went ahead and made an appointment anyways, just because pain on my right side was starting to come back. It wasn't really bad. I didn't want it to get bad, so we went in. I go in and I see the doctor and I tell her, I say, this is what's going on. I show her my food journal and I say, I've cut my diet back for 3 weeks. This is what I've been eating every single day and every single meal. This is what I've been drinking. This is how my workouts have been. And I look at her in the face and I say, I've lost 1 pound in 3 weeks. And I told her that my trainer thought that possibly it could be the birth control. So I also told her, I said, and the birth control doesn't seem to be working. It's not starting my cycle like the other brand was. So she asked me what the other brand was, and I told her, and she said, okay, well, let's go ahead and see what we can do about possibly getting you back onto that particular brand so we can start your cycle back up. And she said, let's go ahead and do, she checked me, so she did a pelvic exam. And when she was doing her exam on the right side, I had a lot of pain when she put pressure on my abdomen. So at that point, she asks me, after we're done and I'm dressed and everything, she goes, do you think that you could be pregnant? And I said, no way, no, I'm not pregnant. There's just no way that I'm pregnant. So she says, okay, well, let's go ahead and do a pregnancy test anyway, but first let's go in and we'll take a look at the cyst and see where we're at with that. So we go into the ultrasound room, and I'm laying there and I'm going, I hate ultrasounds. They're dumb when you're not pregnant. And she's looking around and she goes, I know why you're not having your cycle. And she goes, you're pregnant and it's twins. And I freaked out. Of course, this is the one and only time that my husband does not come with me to my appointment. Usually we go to all of each other's doctor's appointments because we just, if the other person has questions about that person's health, and, it's just better to get updated directly from the doctor, blah, blah, blah. It's better to not have it secondhand. So, of course, the one time that he does not come to my doctor's appointment, I find out I'm pregnant. I was so happy, tears streaming down my face, I'm bawling. She looks at me and goes, those are happy tears? And I said, yeah. And she goes, okay. So she goes, well, let's go ahead and look for the cyst. So we find the cyst, and it's 5 millimeters at this point. And I go, or no, it's 5 centimeters. And when I'm saying millimeters, I don't know, don't ask me. So 5 centimeters, and the other one was actually 6 centimeters. So we figured that it actually had shrunk a little bit. So I was like, oh, that's great, blah, 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 blah. So no big deal. There's nothing that they can do about it at this point because I'm pregnant. So we go ahead and I make up an actual OB appointment for pregnancy for a month away. And I go home and I tell my husband, I say, I have some bad news and I have some good news. And I go, which one do you want first? And he goes, well, the bad news, of course. So I say, well, my cyst is back. It's, 5 centimeters, and that's why the pain's there. I said, however, they can't do anything about it. And he goes, okay. And I go, good news is I'm pregnant. And I go, and it's twins. And he about fell down, and he literally had to sit down. So after all that happened, we were extremely excited that's, what a way to find out you're pregnant, number one. I had no symptoms of being pregnant. A week later, not even a week later, 4 days later, I'm sitting in bed and I'm playing on the computer, and I move and I feel this huge, huge gush. I don't know what it was at the time. And I go in the bathroom and there's blood everywhere. Just blood upon blood. I mean, it's dripping out of me. I've never ever had that happen, ever. Not even on my worst cycles have I ever had blood coming out to that. I mean, it's like a faucet. So I kind of tried to get in the shower and clean it up. I had clots. I thought I was losing the babies. I had no pain. And the blood just kept coming and coming and coming. It didn't matter. I had my husband. I said, we need to go to the emergency room. Call my sister, see if we can take some action over there and get me a pad and some new underwear and a pair of pajama bottoms, which he did. So as I'm trying to put on my underwear and my pajama bottoms, I have another huge gush come out, and of course it goes all over the floor. I'm freaking out, and of course my husband can't be up there because he was trying to keep himself from freaking out. So I try to clean up everything as best I can before we go. By the time that we got to the hospital, which is literally like 12 minutes away from our house, I had soaked the pad, my underwear, and literally my pajama bottoms were completely soaked with blood. I didn't think that I was dying, but I guess looking back at it, I'm thinking, gosh, that was a lot of blood to lose. So we go in, and of course I tell him I'm pregnant with twins. I'm only 9 weeks along. I'm bleeding heavily to the point of it's a faucet, and they make me wait. Rude. Finally, when we get back there, they go ahead and check my everything. They get me cleaned up, number one, because I was completely just bloodied. And I know this is kind of graphic. And they, they check my cervix. It's completely closed. So he says, I don't think that you lost the babies, but let's go ahead and do a pregnancy test. We're going to go ahead and get some urine, and we'll do a pregnancy test. We'll take some blood and also do a pregnancy test on that as well and find out if there's anything else that might be happening. So they had to put a catheter in to get a clean catch, which sucked because the nurse was rude and didn't know how to put a catheter in. So that hurt. And they got the results back, and he goes, your hormone levels are through the roof for being pregnant. He goes, so there's no surprise that it's twins. They went ahead and did an ultrasound. Of course, they don't let you see when you're in the emergency room the ultrasound. And they saw 2 babies in there. And basically we were sent home on bed rest for, I think, like the next week, a follow-up appointment within the next couple days with the doctor, with the OB. So we go into the OB and everything and get checked out, and everything's fine. And like for the next 4 weeks, I'm still spotting, I'm still bleeding a little bit, and then it kind of goes to like the old blood color. And I let my OB know, and they check it out, and they say, it's no big deal. Your cervix is still completely closed, and you're not having contractions. You seem to be doing fine. So I said, okay, great, that's awesome. So the next several weeks went by with not a hitch, nothing wrong. And then at 17 weeks, I woke up with pain. And I don't know how else to explain it. It was just pain.